These videos are getting a little long, so let's see if I can cut back the wordiness. Welcome to the bottom of the barrel. It's not Fred Penner's place, but it is the bottom of the barrel. You'll never get stuck in the sky. I am John the Fisherman, your host. I work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, much of it in gig work, but not all of it. I document it all and I review those numbers so that I can identify the biggest sources of process waste in my delivery process. I share that here with the hopes that other people might be able to use it to improve their own process, and together we can all make a little bit more money. So I met a guy this morning, just before I get started. He made a comment about bringing solutions and not problems. And that's something that it's taken me a long time to learn. I remember I had a boss that wanted something to happen, and I told him it was impossible. And his face got red, and he got silent. He got pissed, and I honestly didn't know how I was going to give him what he was asking for, because it seemed impossible to me. But I very quickly realized that's not the answer he's looking for, and I changed my tune and I said, okay, let me take a look and I'll see what I can come up with. And I did find a solution. I gave him what he wanted. Didn't look like what he wanted to him, but after I explained it to him, he realized it solved his problem, and it was a perfectly fine solution. That was the first time I realized the value of bringing solutions and not problems. And since then, I've realized that for any obstacle that you face, you, me, your friends, anybody, there are multiple creative solutions to that one obstacle. They may not look like what you're imagining initially, but if you're open to them, you might see them, you might find them, you might be able to start just plucking them out of the ether, willy-nilly, just tons of them. There's always multiple creative solutions, always. So don't forget that if you feel hopeless and when you're looking at your life and you don't know what you're going to do, just know there are solutions, and there are more than one, and they are creative, and they may not look like what you imagine, but they're there, and you can discover them. So these videos are terrible. I know. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do anything except for screen record with a hot mic. So, I can't improve something that doesn't already exist. So with that, here we go. Let's take a look at these moldy bits we have here down at the bottom of the barrel. Here is my tracker. Real quick, I'll go over it for anybody that is new, and most of you are probably new because so far I have very few views, but it's not 0 anymore, so that's great. I'm happy about that. Each of these is a delivery. Well, I guess technically it's not a delivery. It is the characteristics of a delivery. I got the total pay, the time that the app tells me it'll take, the time I start, the time I end right there, the total it actually took me, the estimated wage that the app said, and the actual wage that I made. And then you just have the app, the restaurant. Here is if I had to wait for some reason, or if I lost time for some reason. And that's that. So I do every single delivery like that. I don't do them, I don't stop and do them. I do them while I'm waiting for an order to be ready at a restaurant. I do them if for some other reason I have to wait. That's when I mark all this down. So I'm not using valuable delivery time to document all this. Let's get to the overview here. Total orders I did yesterday. Like I said, I usually work 15 hours a day. Yesterday I was working on some other stuff besides gig work. I say 15 hours a day, and I mean it. I wake up, I'm out of the house within 30 to 40 minutes, and I'm working until I get home at the end of the day, and I go to bed. Within about 10 to 15 minutes, I'm in bed sleeping. Yesterday, this is actually a couple days ago here that I got these numbers. I only worked for 10 hours on gig work. I did work for quite a few hours on some other things. These videos take me about an hour to prep all the numbers and get everything together. A few other things that I'm working on also take some time. But yesterday was 10 hours of gig work. I had 23 orders total. Again, most of them come from Uber. That is my big boy. Grubhub gave me a fair amount yesterday. DoorDash, as always, nothing or nearly nothing. 186 miles total. $201 I made in those 10 hours. So I came out to about $20 an hour. I fill up once a day. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less. I think I filled up twice yesterday, and that was $33. I don't really focus too much on mileage and gas because everybody's car is different. Some people got electric vehicles. It's really going to be specific to you how much you're spending on gas. But I do put it up here just so you can see what kind of percentage. Usually it's only about 10% of what I make. This time it was a little worse. Like I said, I think I filled up twice. I filled up once in the morning and once at the end of the day. So, sources of waste. This is the interesting part. This shows me where I can find some solutions. Total time I was out was 10 hours, 8 minutes. 8 minutes of that was break time throughout the day. I try to limit that. I try to do things while I'm waiting for orders and not any other time, just to minimize that. But it's really not a big part of the process waste, so it's not something that I worry about too much. Trolling was 1 hour and 19 minutes, so that's about 10%. That's actually pretty good. Usually it's closer to maybe 30%. Trolling is when I don't have an order and I'm just driving around waiting for an order. I don't stop. If I'm in an area and I'm not getting orders, either there's too many drivers or there's not enough there's not enough demand. So when I finish an order, I drive to a hot spot. I don't park. If there's nothing in my app, I go to the next hot spot, and I just, I slow roll it, so I'm not, wasting a lot of gas, but I just don't stop moving. Total waiting. Those are for different reasons. Order not ready. Customer is dallying when they need to meet me at the door. Wrong turn. I tend to get lost in my thoughts sometimes and stop paying attention to the GPS, and then adds a few minutes to my route, but it's not too much. It's not too bad, so I don't worry about it too much. Help. That's where I'm at a restaurant. The order's ready, and I can't get help from the people, and the order's out of reach. Otherwise, I just grab it. If it's within reach, I grab it. Sometimes I get mad, but I'm there to move an order from the restaurant to the customer, not to sit there and wait to be called upon. So the biggest one here was total waiting was 1.5 hours. The biggest one, as usual, is order not ready. And in this case, order not ready was not too far behind trolling. It's actually pretty rare that trolling is not my heaviest hitter. I'll tell you what I did. I recently started making a change with the quality of the orders that I accept, so that I could try and eliminate some of the trolling time. And I'll go over that a little more with you in a minute here, because it seems to have had an effect on the trolling time, but it doesn't really seem to have had an effect on the overall hourly wage. We'll see. I think this was on Tuesday that I did this, which is usually a pretty slow night. So the fact that I made $20 an hour on a Tuesday was pretty decent. Usually Mondays and Tuesdays are a little hit or miss. Here I have failed orders. I actually didn't have any failed orders. That's where it cancels on the way, or it's already been picked up, restaurant closed, excessive wait time, and I go ahead and just don't waste my time waiting. Map fail, it's where I accept an order and I go to the destination and I realize that my map didn't update and I've gone to a destination that I had previously loaded before I accepted that order. I will unassign those, because if I don't and I go all the way back to the restaurant, it usually will be a violation because I arrived too late. So getting an unassigned is better in my eyes than a violation. So there's a few more, but we'll go over those on other days. Offer quality. This is where this is not specifically deliveries or orders. This is offers. So sometimes you get offered two things at the same time. Sometimes you get two offers on the same route. I had 22 total offers. 17 of them were good. They were $20 and up. 4 of them were not good. They were under 20. but not too terrible. One of them was bad, and that's like $16 and under, $16 an hour and under. Fails, where I can't complete the delivery. I didn't have any of those on this particular day. We'll go over this real quick down below. You can see I have green ones. There's a red one, that one red one that I had. I made $13 an hour. And all in all, it was not a great one to start with. It was $17 an hour and for 22 minutes, but it took me 28. And a big part of that was it was not ready. 4 minutes at the restaurant I was waiting, which is not a lot. But when you calculate that into your wage on an order that's already not great, it definitely has an effect. I missed a turn, lost a minute there, and the customer made me wait for a few minutes at his door. So all in all, I had an extra 8 minutes there that, had those not been in there, I would have finished in 20 minutes, and I would have gotten maybe $18 or $19 an hour, which would have been a little better. That would have been, yellow instead of red. But some of these are pretty good. I've found that total time I do better than what the app estimates. So in this case, it was 21, and I actually did finish in 21. This case, it was 35, and I finished in 22. So it's pretty good. Oh, no, that's the wage estimate. I finished in 40. Oh, so that actually went down from 22 to 20. Here's another one where, let's find another one. The estimate was 20 minutes, and I finished in 17. I made $42 an hour for 17 minutes. That was a nice one. I remember that one. I don't often remember. I do so many deliveries, I don't really remember them specifically, but I do remember that one. Mostly because I don't pick up from there very often. Man, it smelled so good in that restaurant. All right. Usually, I can do better than what the estimate suggests. Usually. Maybe like 85% of the time. And so I know if the mileage looks terrible, but they tell me that I can finish it in a time that's a very good time, I know I can take that. I know I can rely on that estimate most of the time. Anyways, that's about it for the order quality. Oh, what I wanted to tell you, since I know that I can usually do better than the time shown to me by the app, I've started taking orders that I wouldn't have normally taken, knowing that I can make it a good order. And I've been doing that in an effort to decrease the amount of trolling time that I'm doing, because that is my biggest time waster. That's one thing, and the other thing is I'm trying to onboard with more apps. I did onboard with one, but I'm just not getting any orders from it. So I'll keep doing that. If I find something that works pretty well for me, I will definitely let you guys know. But that's it for the order quality. Let's see. Theoretical limit. I really like this one, this section here, because it shows me, what could be possible if I can further optimize my delivery process. So I made $201 in 10 hours. There was a total of nearly 3 hours of waste. So between trolling, waiting, and failed orders this time didn't come into play. But if I had made that same $201, but there was no waste in my process, I would have done that in 7 hours and made $28 an hour. Now, if I had worked under the original circumstances for a 15-hour shift, I would have made $302. But if I had been able to eliminate all the waste and made $28 an hour, I would have made $422 in a 15-hour shift. So how much is that really? Well, there's still places where you can get $1 tacos if you look around. So that would be 120 tacos. Given that they have probably around 200 calories each, that's 12 days of food. That's a lot of tacos right there. The other way that I like to look at is if you were able to make that extra 120. Now, I work 7 days a week, so that would be 365 days a year. If I use that money for a 3.5% down payment with a first-time home buyer loan, oh, freaking mosquito! You are a dead man. you could, after 1 year, have a down payment. Freaking mosquito. You could have a down payment for a house that's worth $1.2 million. If you use that as a rental property, and you can get 1% per month as the rental amount, you're making $12,000 a month. Now, I'm just using numbers I got off the internet. I said, how much can you? I know you can get an FHA loan for 3.5% if you have really good credit. And I just asked the internet, what's a reasonable percentage of the home value that I can get for rental income? And they said 1%, depending on your market. So $12,000 a month, man. I wouldn't mind making $12,000 a month passively. So, for me, that's pretty motivating. I hope you find that motivating as well, and start to look for the waste in your own process and how you might be able to, it's never going to be eliminated 100%, but you can definitely get closer to the theoretical maximum with a little bit of effort and a little bit of forethought. All right, that's really it. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know the format's not great. I will improve this over time. Like I said, you can't improve something that doesn't exist. So I've started. I will improve. And in the meantime, I hope you're still getting something out of this. All right, catch you guys tomorrow.